Hello, everybody. Welcome to Planet Holistic. I'm your host, Todd Schaefer, and with me is my co-host,
Kira Shaver.
Kira Shaver.
Yay!
Yay, Kira! So today we've got a great speaker with us today, and a good friend, and a wonderful author who's published several books, I believe. And her name is Misty Thompson. She has been an awesome friend, an awesome colleague, associate, strategic partner,
buddy,
in a variety of different ways. Buddy. So, Misty, welcome to the show. How are you today?
I'm well. Thanks, guys. It's good to be here.
It is great to have you. So before we dive into the topic today, I want to ask you really quickly, how has your experience been publishing with As You Wish Publishing so far?
Obviously, you guys are amazing. So anything, of course, I've worked with Kira on I guess it was a project I had just recently, and very responsive. I love how both of you are just so open to whatever my position is, or if I have an idea, or if I want to spin things a different way, but just being able to be open and free and just say what my message is. And it's very well received by you all. So that's very appreciative for sure. That makes it so much lighter, and it makes it so much more fun.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And Misty, we just mentioned a moment ago that she's got several books out there that she is published on your own, or you published through your publishing company?
I've done a couple. They're self-published, but they're through publishing company.
Yeah. So now, what's exciting about your most recent book? You're getting ready to go on tour.
Yes.
In Seattle and in Tucson with your recent book. What's the name of that book?
Yeah, it's called From Grief to Acceptance. And it is basically a new perspective on how to handle grief. And it was things that I learned with my sister's passing back in 1993. So it's been very well received, which I'm so grateful for.
Wonderful.
For sure. Yeah.
And you're also going to be, you're also scheduled to be on Hay House Radio, which is also very exciting.
Yeah, very, very exciting. So, I'm scheduled to be on Hay House Radio with Nancy Levin on July 11th. So, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, that's going to be fantastic. So, guys, whoever's listening here, please go out to Hay House Radio and connect up with Misty on July 11th, because that's going to be a really great show. But we've got a great show yet to come, because, Misty, we're going to talk about how grieving affects the physical body and how to shift that.
Yeah.
So take it away, sister.
All right. No. Well, I think that's one thing that people, they do not even realize how grief and not just grief, but not dealing with the emotional aspects of grief. When you do not deal with that and you just keep pushing your grief down, because, a lot of times people, I know I was like this with my sister. I felt I had to be a certain way. And, if I felt really sad, it was kind of like, well, no, because my family needs me, or, work needs me, and I can't be sad, and I can't do this. And, we allow society to kind of dictate how we should grieve. And as a result, you end up pushing some of your feelings down, whether it is, the traditional Kubler-Ross method, those 5 stages of grief, or how I flipped it and did 5 encouraging phases of grief.
Ooh,
so those are a little bit more lighter. But if you do not handle grief, no matter what the feeling is you have, it's going to come out in physical ways. And I've seen this many times with my clients. And I just don't think people realize the emotional part of that. If you don't deal with it, it's going to come out somehow, some way. And a lot of times it's in a physical sense, in the physical body.
Yeah. And I had my personal experience with this with you.
Yeah.
I was suffering. My cousin had taken his own life, and I was just suffering. I I'm generally one of those suffer in silence types of people. Or, Todd will just walk into the living room and he's like, why are you crying? Like nothing's happening. What's going on? And so I don't generally tend to share my feelings very easily. And so I was starting to have heart palpitations, PVCs. I think that's what they're called. And it's like what is it? I can't remember what the acronym letters are termed, but basically it's called a preventricle contraction. So I was doing an extra heartbeat. And when I got my reading with you, and by the way, not only is Misty an amazing author, but she's also a medium. Mm-hmm. She said, you said, you're trying to beat his heart for him. Yeah. And I mean, it just rocked me because I went, that's exactly what I'm doing. That is exactly how it feels. And so, once we had that realization, my palpitations went down drastically, where they were happening every 10 to 30 seconds. They started to happen every 1 to 2 hours. And it was a direct result. And now eventually completely gone, completely fine, completely healthy. I was in that place where, oh my gosh, I'm going to need to go to the doctor because this is happening. So tell us about maybe your mediumship and maybe what that means to connect people up with that, because it obviously helped me tremendously.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you're not the only one, and it's interesting, it's like, the universe has a way of kind of directing us the way we need to go. And, when I started actually seeing clients, it's already been about, I guess, 4 years ago, 3 years ago, I guess, 4 years ago. And first I just did readings just for fun and, just to help people, but they started to get a little more deep and a little more deep and a little more into it. And I've realized now that without a doubt, I am supposed to help people with grief. And that's why I do readings. And Carrie, you're part of the reason why, because you're one of the validations that, because of your success and your healing, that's helped me grow with my confidence too, and my validation that I am supposed to help people with their grief. And I do this in a variety of ways, but a lot of it and a big piece of it is through doing the mediumship, because, a lot of times, like with your case, you were just so saddened. And of course, and you were trying to have that extra heartbeat for your cousin. And it was, I remember that, and it was just overwhelming for me too, because it gave me validation that I am supposed to help people who are grieving, truly, truly grieving. Mm-hmm. And, in fact, a massage therapist, we switch services, she gives me a massage and I do readings. And she was so distraught because which is interesting, she just recently had a cousin who passed away. And he wasn't suicide, but it was a drug overdose. And she was really having a hard time as well. And it's really interesting because now that we're talking about your story, and her story is being brought up because it's so very similar to yours. Mm-hmm. And it was brought to me, and she's doing so much better now. And, and it's not really because of anything I've done. It's just, I feel like I'm just, of course, the medium from your loved one to you. But also, I know you already know this information because that's why we're energetically aligned with each other. Mm-hmm. And it's just when you hear it from somebody else, it helps kind of remind you that, what you already know, basically. And this inside, internally, through your spirit. But yeah, it's so amazing that that's my purpose, is to help people with their grief. And it's hard because I think I was trying to avoid it for so long.
Yeah.
Because it is hard. It's a difficult subject to talk about, for sure.
Mm-hmm. So why do you think that is? We're just going to speculate wildly. Why do you think it is that we get these physical symptoms from the emotional state that we are from we'll say grieving, but it could be any kind of emotional state like stress or anger, fear, that kind of thing. Why do you think that happens to us?
With society, we're really trying to conform to what we believe society wants us to do. And it doesn't matter if it's grief or just stress in general. I know I was really bad at this. And I know Todd has brought this up in his latest book too, about the need to please people. And, especially when, like with me, I was a people pleaser and I was always trying to please everybody and I didn't want to let anybody down. And there was no time for me to deal with my emotions, no matter what they were. And what we do is we just push it down a little bit, push it down. And, the body can only take so much. And you can only pack down those emotions so much. Mm-hmm. And before you know it, it's the hard emotions and, and it's all in how you perceive it and how you choose to see it. But those emotions that we perceive as negative, the anger and sadness and grief and stress and all of that, it gets piled on and piled on and piled on. And the body can only take so much before it explodes. Mm-hmm. And that's why, there's such a connection with the mind, the body, and the spirit that if they're not aligned, it has to come forward somehow, some way. And that's why I have found what has helped me, and it sounds cliche, but it's so true, is meditation has been life-changing for me. And I think it's a way that we're able to process emotions. And sometimes, especially in the beginning when I would meditate, I would just start tearing up. And I believe it's the release of emotions, which that's the healthy way to do it. It's when you don't allow those things and you're not vulnerable to that. It's when you do that, then it just comes out any which way it can, any way, just any way. Like I'm visualizing, like you're trying to fit something in a very small can, but you just are trying to fit it in, and you're putting so much pressure on it, it just explodes. Mm-hmm. And that's how I visualize it. And that's how the physical ailments, that's how it forms when things like that happen. And it could be anything from like the heart palpitations. And this has happened to me with my own healing, is the people who know me know that I've had some side pain, like nerve pain. Mm-hmm. And that got released once I started dealing with the emotional things. And I've had this pain since 2006, and I released it probably about 3 years ago. And since then, I've had no more pain, zero. And it was chronic nerve pain. So that was just how my body was trying to express, like, hey, I need help. Hey, you got to do something. You need to pay attention, and
right. Wake up. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's a big thing to recognize it. Just like step one, hey, recognize it. My body's in pain. Yeah. What's going on inside? Yeah. And then do that meditation of just being quiet and sit with it. And I mean, you're absolutely right. So, we're just about out of time. So, Misty, how can people get in touch with you, get a session with you, get your book?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, my website is mistymthompson.com. And of course, I'm on social media, and I have all the connections to that on my website. My book is there. My book is also on Amazon, and I will be at Barnes & Noble in Seattle and Tucson. We're looking at a Phoenix book tour. So, yeah. But my website will have all the information.
Wonderful. Misty, thank you so much for being with us today. I love you. I hope you come back and visit us again.
Of course.
I love you too. Thank you so much for this awesome information. I highly recommend Misty's book, From Grief to Acceptance.